They kicked in my front door at 5:47 a.m., like I was some wanted felon. I can still hear the crash, the yelling 5 HOA board members, 2 armed guards, and Vivian, the so-called president, dripping diamonds and screaming that I was illegally occupying the lake. That was the morning everything changed for me. Name's Jasper. Just 3 months before all this, I'd inherited my grandpa's old cedar cabin, a place that still smells like pipe tobacco and engine oil soaked deep into the floorboards. People called my grandpa Ezekiel a pack rat, but the truth is he was the best-kept secret in our entire neighborhood. When the HOA dropped a $4,800 dock fee on me, pay or lose the place, I knew I was in for a fight. Folks around here were already hurting. Dolores, 82 years old and tough as nails, started skipping her heart meds just to cover bills. Sarah, the single mom next door, worked double night shifts but still fell behind. Meanwhile, Vivian paraded around with jewelry worth more than most folks' homes paid for with our money. The first time Vivian showed up at my dock, she looked like a realtor's magazine cover. Not a hint of sympathy, just threats and a clipboard. 15 years of unpaid dock fees, Jasper. Pay up, or we seize the boat. I just stared at her, thinking dock fees. For what exactly? I'd walked that shoreline, seen the rotten planks, the community pier falling apart. No maintenance, no improvements, just invoices and intimidation. See, HOAs aren't supposed to charge for nothing. But here, if you questioned Vivian or fell behind, you got late fees, public shaming, or anonymous complaints to the county. Most folks were too scared or tired to push back. But something about seeing Dolores watching me from her window, terrified and alone, just flipped a switch inside. That cabin with its piles of maps and manila folders turned out to be my salvation. Grandpa didn't just collect junk, he kept every deed, every survey, every old record going back to the 1800s. I'm a Marine veteran recently out of work, and suddenly that training, attention to detail, digging for the truth kicked in. Turns out Grandpa had been quietly documenting everything like he knew one day someone would need it. Vivian ran Millbrook Shores like a private kingdom. Late fees, made-up violations, even a neighborhood newsletter where my truck was called an eyesore. The sound of her Range Rover idling at dawn became the warning signal for another day of harassment. But then I started to see the pattern. Each permit I needed was rubber-stamped by her real estate buddy. Every board decision seemed to enrich her, not the community. That's about when Marcus entered the picture. Sarah's son, 17, computer whiz. He'd seen his mom skip lunch to keep up with HOA assessments. We got to talking and he offered to help me dig into the records. What we found made my blood run cold. Every time fees went up, another family lost their home. 6 houses in the last decade, all scooped up by Vivian's shell companies and flipped for triple the price. It wasn't just greed, it was a system. And it went deeper. Emails Marcus uncovered showed Vivian was working with Lakeshore Development, a corporation specializing in buying out lakefront communities for luxury resorts. My grandpa had always muttered about corporate vultures. Now I finally understood what he meant. The attacks kept coming. I started getting county inspections always right after a board meeting. Rudy, the inspector, used to fish with Grandpa, but even he avoided eye contact, poking at solid dock beams like he'd never seen them before. I remembered a folder marked County Personnel in Grandpa's files. Turns out state law required a special certification for waterfront inspections. Rudy didn't have it. One question and he was out of there faster than lake water through a broken dam. Dolores, quiet and sweet, turned out to be a lioness. She showed up one day with boxes of her own letters, threats, recordings of board meetings where Vivian talked openly about improving demographics and driving out elderly residents. Sarah, with her nurse's precision, started cataloging every medical emergency made worse by these fees, and Marcus built an interactive map showing the rise in assessments. The property flips the money trail straight into Vivian's pocket. But the biggest bombshell dropped when Marcus found out Grandpa had left a safety deposit box at the bank. Inside were original deeds, water rights transfers, and hidden in legalese a clause from 1892. If the dam ever stopped producing power, the lake rights would revert to the original families. Turns out that happened in 1978. For decades, the Thornfields had legal claim to the lakebed and water rights, and Vivian had been running her racket on property she didn't even own. I confronted Vivian at the next HOA meeting, papers in hand, every neighbor and news camera watching. She tried to laugh it off, called me a fraud, until Marcus started projecting scanned documents certified by the county right onto the wall. Dolores stood up, voice shaking but strong, and told everyone how she'd watched Grandpa research every page. Channel 7's reporter asked Vivian about her deals with Lakeshore Development, and suddenly state investigators who'd been sitting in the back came forward with handcuffs. Vivian was arrested right there, fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Her lawyers ran for the exit. The silence afterward was broken only by the sound of neighbors realizing what had happened to them. All those years, 800 grand stolen from folks just trying to live their lives. That was 3 months ago. Millbrook Lake looks like a different place now. Docks rebuilt, money returned, fees slashed to 1/10 of what Vivian demanded. We formed a community trust, donated the water rights, protected the land from future development. Marcus won a scholarship we set up in Grandpa's name. He's studying environmental law now, planning to come back and keep us honest. Dolores, Sarah, everyone else, they've got their lives back. The best part, Saturday mornings on the new community pier. Veterans like me sharing coffee and stories, no more diesel fumes, no more threats. Kids laughing, neighbors talking. Sarah started teaching tech classes for seniors. Nobody's getting scammed by digital HOA tricks anymore. The legal fallout. Vivian pled guilty, got 5 years restitution orders that'll keep her broke forever. Her developer friends are facing charges. The judge quietly retired after his part was exposed. Channel 7's series inspired new laws for HOA oversight. Our database of property records is now a model for other communities fighting the same battles. Here's what I learned of what Grandpa really tried to teach me all those years. Justice isn't handed down from on high. It's built one careful record at a time by people who refuse to be bullied. You dig in, you research, you don't give up. It takes courage to fight back when the folks with power want you quiet, but it's possible. We didn't just win for us. We proved that community when it means something is stronger than any bully with a clipboard. Now the cabins turned into the unofficial heart of the neighborhood. Potlucks, meetings, laughter echoing off the water. The rebuilt dock under my feet reminds me every day that sometimes fighting for what's right brings a whole place back to life. And let me ask, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced an HOA nightmare like this? Do you think justice means letting things go? Or is it about standing up even when it costs you sleep, money, friends? Drop your story or your thoughts below. The best ones maybe we'll dig into next. If you believe communities should run on democracy, not fear, stick around. Because the bullies are counting on folks like us to stay silent, and I say we make a little more noise.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.